بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity for us to continue with our lessons in the commentary of Al-Aqaid al-Nasafiyah written by Al-Imam al-Taftazani from the Matan of Al-Imam al-Nasafi. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our lesson and make it a reason where our sins are forgiven, our prayers are answered inshallah ta'ala. And may Allah equip our hearts with iman and taqwa and protect us from all difficulties, trials and tribulations in dunya and akhirah. Ameen ya rabbal alameen. So before we enter into our book, for me I need to do a bit of revision on what we mentioned in our previous lesson. We were speaking about the one of the causes of knowledge, that is cause number 2, where the author speaks about the 3 causes of knowledge. The first one we spoke about the senses. One of the ways that we attain knowledge is by our senses. So number 2 is on khabar al-mutawatir. It is on the mass transmitted reports. Mass transmitted reports. So knowledge here, what we meant by knowledge is knowledge based on yaqeen. Knowledge based on conviction. So when it comes into reports, the knowledge that is based on conviction, when we attain or when we hear such reports, are reports that are mutawatir. That is mass transmitted reports. So maybe one more time I roughly will explain what is the meaning of khabar al-mutawatir, and you find in mustalah hadith. This is one of the subjects that you will learn. So basically it is a mass transmitted reports, meaning the numbers of people who inform this particular report reach a number where it is impossible for them to come out with a lie. Yastahilu tawatuhum ala al-kadhib. So our scholars differ on how many is reach the level of mutawatir. So one of the best opinions I believe is what is mentioned by Al-Imam Ibn Hajar, and it is a number that when you look at it you are unable to count. So it is many numbers that is many. So this is basically khabar mutawatir. So just imagine if 50 people or 60 or 100 people, for example, all of them informs you about a particular incident. So this is what we meant, and this information is based on conviction, and it's based on yaqeen, because it is impossible for such people of that number to come out with a lie. So the information that they gave is an information that is based on yaqeen. This is the meaning of al-ilm, based on al-ilm. So in books of aqidah and books of usulul fiqh, many a times when our scholars speaks about al-ilm, what they meant is conviction. What they meant is conviction. So this is basically what we are speaking about. We are speaking about khabar mutawatir. And then last week also I mentioned that the Quran is mutawatir. Quran mutawatir. So I gave the example during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, hundreds of Sahaba memorized the Quran, and then after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, when he came into the Tabi'een, they memorized the Quran, they get from the Sahaba, and more memorized the Quran, and so on, generations after generations after generations, until today. So there is this what you call it, this sanad, or we say this what we call it, this chain of transmission, and it is based on a large number of people in every generation. So this is what we meant by mutawatir. So the Quran, and we say it is mutawatir, but when it comes to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, not all hadith are mutawatir. Most hadith are ahad. Most of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ are ahad. Ahad is another term, and for example in mustalah hadith, it is a number that does not reach any mutawatir. So for example, there are hadith that only one particular sahabi narrated from the Prophet ﷺ. So we say this hadith ahad. Sometimes in a particular hadith there are 2 people or 3 people. The first initial people who heard from the Prophet ﷺ. But of course, after that, there will be many. There will be hundreds and thousands of people and who negated any from them. So it is important for us to take note when we are speaking about mutawatir and or ahad. We are saying that in each level of the chain of negation, if it is mutawatir and the numbers and it must reach the level of mutawatir in each and every chain of negation. So if, for example, and you have a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one Sahabi narrated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then after that 1,000 people narrated from this particular Sahabi, it is still ahad. It is still ahad because at any point of the chain of narration, the numbers has not reached mutawatir, so it is considered to be ahad. And the knowledge based on ahad, knowledge based on transmission that is not any mutawatir. Now this is what we meant, like we speak for example in the knowledge of fiqh and knowledge of usul al-fiqh, and we say al-ahad yufidu dhann, the hadith of ahad or knowledge or information that is based on ahad and which does not reach any level of mutawatir, so it comes into this level of adhan. Adhan is the level that is below conviction. So conviction is 100%, and for example 100% in confirmation. Zhann and maybe 75%, 70%. Anything that is more than shak is 50%. So this is based on dhann. But when it comes into the knowledge of aqidah, that's what we mentioned. When it comes to the evidences on the tenets of faith, all of them is based on yaqeen. Min adillatiha al-yaqiniyah. So there's a difference in between the knowledge of aqidah and the knowledge of fiqh. Knowledge of fiqh, and most of it are based on adhan. Whereas any knowledge of aqidah, it is based on yaqeen. So now we will enter into where we stop. So this is basically what we have been mentioning in our last lesson. So there is something for us to take note here, and the author mentioned as an al-ilm al-hasila bihi dharooriyun. So just take note the meaning of dharuri. Dharuri is basically the meaning here is meaning there is no need for you to ponder upon it, and it comes naturally. It comes naturally because of the fact that it is something that will bring you to conviction, and it comes to you in a way that it is not required of you to ponder, meaning you come to that kind of understanding based on your conviction. وَذَلِكَ لِأَنَّهُ يَحْصُلُ لِلْمُسْتَدِلِّ وَغَيْرِهِ حَتَّى الصِّبْيَانِ الَّذِي لَا اِهْتِدَاءَ لَهُمْ بِطَرِيقِ الْإِكْتِسَابِ. So he gave an example, even kids and children also, they can understand this knowledge, even though they do not have the capacity to understand any reasoning. وَأَمَّا خَبَرُ النَّصَارَى. This is where we stop in our last lesson. I will go back into this because I didn't mention all of it because of time last week. Now he gave this example about the claim of the Nasara when it comes to the killing of Nabi Isa alayhi salam. So first thing we have to understand that as far as the Quran is concerned, Nabi Isa alayhi salam is not crucified. Nabi Isa alayhi salam is not crucified. So the Quran mentioned وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. Yani they do not kill him and they do not crucify him, but someone he has been made to resemble him. So the one that was crucified is not Nabi Isa alayhi salam. And then also Allah mentioned وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا. And even those who were present in that crucifixion, they are also in doubt. And because when they look at this person, they say this is not Isa alayhi salam. So because of this doubt, this cannot be mutawatir. This cannot be mutawatir. Mutawatir, knowledge of mutawatir, at any point of time, it cannot be based on shak. It cannot be based on doubt. Even those who are with Nabi Isa alayhi salam, they know that this person is not Nabi Isa alayhi salam. They know that this person is not any Nabi Isa alayhi salam. And they knew that someone else is missing. That there is a high possibility that that person was the one who is crucified. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا. Yani even the Jews, they are in doubt. The Jews who reported to the Romans about Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and they witnessed the crucifixion, they saw the crucifixion, and they are in doubt, and they say that this is not the person. This is not Nabi Isa alayhi salam. Allah said, وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. Yani this kind of resemblance yani to a state anywhere they are yani in doubt. So remember this when we speak any about khabar and mutawatir, if at any point of time then the information and is based any on shak, it cannot be mutawatir. It cannot be mutawatir. And there are also any reports any that those any who witness any from afar, and their number of those who are with Nabi Isa alayhi salam before any the crucifixion any happens, they were about 4 any or 5, any meaning they do not reach any the level any of mass any transmitted any report. So that is why any we say that the information based on what is acclaimed any by the Nasara that Nabi Isa alayhi salam and he was crucified, and the fact that it is based any on mass any transmitted any reports. They mentioned that the people any who are present any are many, and they witness any this crucifixion. So the answer any to that is that these numbers any who are present, they are any in doubt any of Nabi Isa alayhi salam any being any the person who is any crucified. And based any on this doubt, any this information any cannot be mutawatir. It cannot be a mass transmitted report, because one of the conditions any of mass transmitted any reports, it cannot any be based any on doubt. It must any be based any on conviction. طيب. So he said وَأَمَّا خَبَرُ النَّصَارَى بِقَتْلِ إِيسَى عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ وَالْيَهُودِ. And the second thing he mentioned about what is the claim any of the Jews. So we have any the claim any of the Nasara, and we have the claim any of the Jews. Both any claim any that these are khabar mutawatir. Yani the Nasara any said that the crucifixion of Nabi Isa alayhi salam is based any on mutawatir. The Jews any mentioned that the religion of Nabi Musa alayhi salam any will go all the way up to the Qiyamah. Yani this religion any they mentioned that Judaism of Musa alayhi salam any will be inherited any to the end of time. So they mentioned yani that this also is based any on khabar any mutawatir. So Al-Imam Taftazani and he mentioned fatawaturuhum mamnu'. Both yani cannot be accepted as khabar any mutawatir. So when comes any to the Nasara, any we mentioned that it is because any of the doubt any that they have when comes any to the crucifixion of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and they are in doubt any as to whether this cannot be Nabi Isa alayhi salam for many any reasons. So we mentioned that this cannot be khabar any mutawatir. Any point number 1. Number 2, pertaining any to the Jews any if you study any the history any of the Jews, at one point of time they were expelled any from Jerusalem. Yani after Nabi Musa alayhi salam many years, there is any a Persian king by the name of Nebuchadnezzar. He entered any into Baitul Maqdis and he killed any many Jews, and he imprisoned any many of them and brought them into Babylon. And the Jews any that were present during any that time, there are few any in number that does not reach any the level of mutawatir. So here yani we mentioned there is any a cut of yani information, yani from mutawatir and to ahad. So now when they were expelled and they were killed, and a few any number of them that were present any in Baitul Maqdis any after the coming of Nebuchadnezzar, so now their reports of what they claim of last time any before the coming of Nebuchadnezzar, now any becomes ahad and not mutawatir. Now any it becomes any ahad and not mutawatir. Why? Because any there is a cut any in the chain. Because one of the conditions, as I mentioned any earlier, one of the conditions any of khabar any mutawatir, and it must be mass any transmitted reports in every level of the chain. In every level any of the chain. If any of the level any reaches any a number that is ahad, meaning 4 or 5 people, for example, or 10 people, then it is not mutawatir, but it is ahad. So the claim any that the religion of Nabi Musa alayhi salam any will be in existence all the way until Yawm al-Qiyamah. The claim any that there will be what you call it the only any the religion of Nabi Musa alayhi salam any will be any in existence. So this is any not any based any on khabar any mutawatir, but it is based any on khabar any ahad, and it is proven any that is wrong. Why? Because of the coming of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yani the religion of Nabi Musa alayhi salam any is not the religion yani until Yawm al-Qiyamah, but with the coming of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that rulings any of the Torah yani was abrogated any by the Quran. So when the coming of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in all humanity are obliged to believe in the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is proven that it is not true, and it is not any mutawatir, because if people say that it is mutawatir, then how come it is not true? When we say that khabar mutawatir and listening to conviction, but how come it does not happen? No, in the first place, and it's not mutawatir. That's the thing. In the first place, that is not mutawatir, because we mentioned that initially the Jews they were with Musa alayhi salam after generations, and then they were persecuted, and it's mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Isra. Allah speaks about the persecution of the Jews in Baitul Maqdis, and at one point of time, and it was so bad until everything was destroyed in Baitul Maqdis, and they were brought into Babylon. They were brought into Babylon and in chains, and imagine, and only a few of them are left behind. Only a few of them are left behind. So their beliefs becomes in a form of khabar ahad and not any khabar mutawatir. But alhamdulillah, again, we have to ponder our Quran, is mutawatir. Our Quran is mutawatir. Because if you study any history from the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam until today, mashallah, the number of Muslims are increasing and increasing and increasing, despite all the wars and battles that Muslims are engaged. But the numbers are increasing even until today, despite all this Islamophobia and all these things that some people are talking about terrorism and all these things. But many Westerners are accepting Islam. The rate and people are accepting Islam are on the rise and not on the decline. So this is the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are proud of. So now when we go on, so you can read the translation now, and then now when we go on to the next part, he mentioned fa in qila. So we find that the way of Al-Imam At-Taftazani, he write this particular commentary, and he place it in like a Q&A format, as though somebody is asking a question, and then he comes with the reply. So just to take note that this is the way of the scholars of Maturidi. The Maturidi scholars, in their books, they have this methodology. When they write books on Aqidah, at times they will pose a question, and then they will answer it. So Al-Imam At-Taftazani, who is Ash'ari, so when he writes the commentary of Al-Imam Nasafi, he writes the commentary based on the methodology of the Maturidiyya. So just to take note. And if we ask what is the example, here's the example. So he always you will find before this also he mentioned fa in qila any meaning if it is said. It is as though a question, as though somebody is asking a question. Fa in qila, and if it is said, khabar kulli wahid la yufid illa dhann, wa dhammu dhanni ila dhann la yujibu al-yaqeen aydan, wa jawazu kadhibi kulli wahidin yujibu jawaza kadhib al-majmu' li'annahu nafsul ahad. So it is said that if you have an information that is passed on by one person, so now you have an information of one person, and he tells you something. So this is based on zhann, not based on yaqeen. Correct or not? Any one person is not mutawatir. Mutawatir, and we say it brings any yaqeen, it brings al-ilm. But when it comes to one person, you say la yufidu illa dhann, it is based on dhann. And zhann, again, the meaning of dhann is anything that does not reach the level of 100% yaqeen. So we can say 51% all the way to 99.9%. So this is based on zhann. So there are possibilities. There are any possibilities. So he said that the information of one person, is based on zhann. So he said, وَضُمَّ الظَّنِّ إِلَى الظَّنِّ لَا يُوجِبُ الْيَقِينَ. So if you have one person and the next person and the next person until it reaches a lot, so since what you call it, the information is given from one person and it is based on zhann, likewise the other individuals also, their information also will be based on zhann. that it doesn't reach any to the level any of yaqeen. And then he mentioned if they lie, then it is possible that all of them lie. Because if we look at the information that is passed down by one person, now we are only looking at the aspect that it is based on zhann and not based on yaqeen. Then Al-Imam Taftazani he said, قُلْنَا رُبَّمَا يَكُونُ الْإِجْتِمَاعُ مَا لَا يَكُونُ مَعَ الْإِنْفِرَادِ. So he said that there is a difference when you speak about individual person and you speak about a group. So he gave the example of if you have a group. So there is a difference if you take one group and you separate one group, and you take one group in a bunch. If you take one group in a bunch. So what is the difference? If you take the groups in a bunch, it becomes stronger. If you take the group just individually, then it is weak. So what he is trying to say is that although the information of one person is based on zhann, but if they reach a level of many people, that information becomes from zhann and it becomes yaqeen. Although individually the information is based on zhann, but when you gather them, now it becomes yaqeen. So this is basically some of the things he is basically answering a question that is posed, where a person is asking that how can you say that khabar mutawatir is based on yaqeen, when if you remove all these individuals, it is based on zhann. So basically he's saying that it is not the same, that you cannot compare information from one person and information from a grouping, because the information from a grouping carries stronger report than that individual. And then he mentioned again any question. فَإِنْ قِيلَ, and if it is said, الضَّرُورِيَّاتُ لَا يَقَعُ فِيهَا إِلْتِفَاتٌ وَلَا إِخْتِلَافٌ. As though a person is asking the question. When it comes to dharooriyyaat, dharooriyyaat are knowledge that is based on that you do not need to ponder. There is no need for you to ponder. This is the knowledge of dharuri. So we have knowledge of dharuri and knowledge of nadhari. I forgot the English translation for the word dharuri. If I'm not mistaken, is cognitive, meaning it is knowledge that there is no need for you to ponder. For example, 1 plus 1 equals to 2, or we say 1 is the half of 2. So if we understand in English, somebody tells you 1 is half of 2, automatically you know it's correct. 1 is half of 1 is a half of 2. So this kind of knowledge is dharuri, meaning there is no need for you to ponder. But if a person gives you a problem sum and tells you 1 plus 10 plus 50 minus 45 times 38 divide by 4, this is nadhari. This is knowledge that you have to sit down and you have to ponder upon it to find the solution. So there is a difference between the knowledge of nadhari and knowledge of dharuri. So now if it is said in methods of knowledge that is based on dharuri, the translation mentioned knowledge that is known by necessity, no need for you to ponder. So he said that if the knowledge is dharuri, there is no differences of opinion. There is no different stages or differences of opinion. And we have found that the knowledge that 1 is half of 2 is stronger than the knowledge of the existence of Alexander the Great. Not what you call it. We have this person by the name of Iskandar. Iskandar is Alexander the Great. Alexandria is the place what you call it is the place in Egypt. So ala Kuliah, both of them, whether we are speaking about Alexander the Great or the place in Alexandria in Egypt, this is based on khabar mutawatir also, correct or not? Last week we spoke about Mecca and Baghdad. The author gave the examples of Mecca and Baghdad, and imagine if a person has not been to Mecca, but because of the reports that he's hearing from people who went to Mecca and came back, and it reaches the level of mutawatir, So we are convinced that there are places that are named as Makkah, as Baghdad, and it is based on khabar mutawatir, and it's based on conviction, even though we have not been to Makkah or Baghdad. Likewise, pertaining to Alexandria the Great, when we study any history, for example, this history is being passed down by generations and into generations from the time of Alexander the Great until today. So this is khabar mutawatir, no doubt. Likewise, if you say, for example, there is a place called Alexandria, what you call it, this is also based on khabar mutawatir. So now the question is asking, the question is comparing two things. Number one, he's comparing 1 is half of 2, 1 is half of 2, and the existence of Alexander the Great. The existence of Alexander the Great. So both in his khabar and mutawatir. But now this person is saying, although as though there's a person is asking, the belief and the conviction based on 1 is half of 2 is stronger than the belief of the existence of Alexander the Great. But both are based on khabar mutawatir. But how come this can happen when what you call it, khabar mutawatir leads to knowledge that is dharoori, and dharoori cannot have any differences amongst human beings, when it comes to knowledge of dharoori. So this is basically the question he posed. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. The question is asking, that if both is based on khabar mutawatir, and the fact that khabar mutawatir brings knowledge that is dharoori, the existence of Alexander the Great, and 1 is a half of 2, both are based on what you call it, knowledge that is dharoori. Knowledge that is dharoori. Alexander the Great, the existence of Alexander the Great, how does becomes knowledge that is dharoori? Because it is based on khabar mutawatir. When it comes to 1 is half of 2, this is based on knowledge that is dharoori, which you do not need to ponder, to come to that understanding. And then he explained the answer to this particular question. Then he mentioned what wal mutawatiru qad ankara ifadatahu al-ilm jama'atun min al-uqala ka samniya wal barahima. There are people who rejected the knowledge of mutawatir, they don't believe in this concept of mass transmitted reports that like the Sumaniya and Brahmin. So this is basically the question. So Al-Imam Taftazani is going to answer both of these questions. So there are two questions. Number one is the comparison between 1 is a half of 2 and the existence of Alexander the Great. Number two is that there are people who do not believe in mass transmitted reports. So if mass transmitted reports brings about knowledge that is dharoori, why can all this happen? This is basically the question is asked. Then Al-Imam Taftazani answer. He said, Qulna, we say, Hada mamnu'. He said, this is not correct. This is not correct. This kind of understanding is not correct. Because there can be differences. There can be differences when it comes to knowledge that is dharoori. Because the question is asking that knowledge of dharoori cannot have differences. Knowledge of dharoori cannot have differences between human beings. Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned that is not correct. They said that knowledge of dharoori can have any differences in the understanding of people. Why? This is what he said. Bal qad tatafawatu anwa'u dharuri biwasitati tafawuti fil ilfi wal adati wal mumarasa. So sometimes it is because of the common usage. It differs. For example, when it comes to 1 is half of 2, we can have differences from one person to another person. If you ask a person who is always dealing with numbers, and you tell him 1 is half of 2, automatically he can register. But if you speak to a person, for example, he doesn't have much experience in dealing with numbers, you tell him 1 is half of 2, he might take some time. he might take some time. Although the nature any of this knowledge any is daruri, but the acceptance of people any differs any from one person to another person. It differs any from a person any who is always any involved any in counting and numbering, and a person any who is not, who does not any do counting and numbering. So there is a delay, there is any a difference between them. This is the meaning of ilfi wal ada. Al ada, for example, there are certain things, you know, some people do it yani every day. Some people yani they do any certain things any every day. So to them this is daruri. Knowledge any that is daruri. Automatically any day, what you call it, automatically they come to that situation, they straight away behave in a certain manner, because any of a constant experience any that they have on particular thing. But people any who are not used any to it, they will any take any some time. They will need any to register certain things first before any they are able any to accept. So he said any based any on practice, based on experience, people differ any from one person to another person. Then he say wal akhtari bil bal, and it is also how we digest any that information also differs any from one person any to another person. So let me give you an example. One any is half any of two. If I say it in the English language, and if we understand any English, it becomes any natural any that we know that one any is half any of two. But if I what you call it, speak to you in Arabic any, for example, I say wahid nisful isnain. Al wahid nisful isnain. If you are not good in the Arabic language, if you are a beginner to learn the Arabic language or Arabic any numerals, you might need some time to digest this information. So if I speak to a person who understands Arabic, al wahid and nisful isnain, straight away he understand that one is half of two. But I speak to a Malay, for example, who just learn the Arabic language, al wahid and nisful isnain, and he will take some time to digest that information. So these differences between one person to one person, but the knowledge is the same. The knowledge is daruri. One and a half of two is based on daruri. But the acceptance and the understanding of people when they heard might have differences in their what you call it, acceptance, in a sense, and some people need more time, some people can understand it immediately. And then he mentioned what tasawwurati atrafil ahkam, and likewise when it comes to certain rulings that is based on daruri, some people might take some time to digest more than others. وَقَدْ يَخْتَلِفُ فِيهِ مُكَابَرَةً وَعِنَادًا. This is the answer to the second part, where he mentioned that the people of Sumaniya and the Brahmins, they do not believe in mass transmitted reports. So he said that there are people who do not believe because of their arrogance. They do not want to believe in anything, like the Sufis, because the Sufis they believe there is no realities. The Sufis they say that there are no realities to anything, so they reject all forms of knowledge. They reject all forms of knowledge. They come into a state of skepticism. So even you mentioned that this is based on khabar mutawatir, or based on your senses. They say your senses might not be correct. Khabar mutawatir maybe it's not true. So this is the Sufis, and sometimes they do this because of their arrogance, and they do not want to accept certain things. So they do not accept, and even though it is based on sound knowledge and based on conviction. So you can speak about knowledge that is based on daruri, but there are people who might not be able might not want to accept. So there are differences amongst the people when it comes to knowledge that is daruri. So this is basically the answer of Imam Taftazani towards that question that he mentioned, why there are people who differ with one another pertaining to knowledge that is daruri, when they say that how can they have differences when this knowledge supposedly must be knowledge that everybody can accept. So it is not about that knowledge. So it is about the people who understood that knowledge. So he's basically making this difference. So you have any knowledge any that is based any on daruri, but you have any people who have different understanding and different any acceptance any level. So that is why there are differences any amongst people in acceptance of this knowledge that is based on that, what we call it as knowledge any that is based on darura. So now any we have completed the first part any of the khabar, al-khabar al-sadiq, yani the truthful any report. So number one, and we spoke about khabar any mutawatir, and then he mentioned an-naw'u thani. The second type any of report is khabar rasul al-mu'ayyad bil mu'jizat. So the second any is the conveyance any of the rasul, the conveyance any of the report any of a rasul. So a rasul any is a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a messenger. So there is any a difference any between rasul and nabi. A nabi any is a person who is given revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he is not any commanded any by Allah, you need to do tabligh. So when it comes into rasul and he is commanded any by Allah, you need to convey. So this is the difference any between nabi and rasul. The second any difference any is then rasul comes any with divine laws. The rasul any comes any with a sharia, comes any divine laws. But a nabi, he practice any based any on the laws that was brought down any by a rasul. So this is the difference any between a rasul and nabi. So he said the second type is khabar rasul al-mu'ayyad, ay athabit risalatuhu bil mu'jizat. So normally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless prophets and messengers any with miracles. Bless any prophets and messengers any with miracles. So for example, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his miracle in his Quran. When we study any the Quran and we find the Quran and he mention any a lot of things. The things any that is going any to happen. The Quran speaks any about cosmology, about biology. The Quran any speaks any about science. And today, the scientific any world find what any the Quran any mention that was given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than 1,400 years any happening any in the reality today. For example, in the Quran any Allah mentioned that the universe is expanding. وَالسَّمَاءَ بَنَيْنَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِعُونَ. Allah said that we are constantly expanding in the universe, constantly expanding. Yani 50 years ago, they found out, yani with the latest any technology that they have after years of study, why any the stars going away and away and away. They found out any that the universe is expanding, just like like a balloon, just like a balloon. The Quran mentioned this. How can the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew that the universe is expanding 1,400 years ago, where people do not have any the technology? So this is a form of miracle. So it shows that the Quran is true. That the Quran is true. And Allah said that la wajaduhu fi ikhtilafan kathira. If the Quran is min indi ghayrillah, if the Quran is not from Allah, they will find many contradictions in the Quran. Human beings make a lot of mistakes. There are many contradictions when it comes to human beings. But when it comes into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything is perfect. And this is mashallah, if you study the Quran, you find that the Quran is mu'jiz. The Quran is full of miracles. So then he mentioned the definition of Rasul. He said, wa Rasulu insanun ba'athahu Allah ta'ala ila al-khalqi li tablighi al-ahkam. A Rasul is a person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to human beings to convey the rulings, the divine laws. وَقَدْ يُشْتَرَطُ فِيهِ الْكِتَابِ. And some many scholars mentioned that one of the conditions of a Rasul, that he must come with a kitab, he must come with a book. Like Musa alayhi salam was given the Torah. Nabi Isa alayhi salam was given the Injil. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given the Quran. بِخِلَافِ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم فَإِنَّهُ عَامٌ. So it is different than Nabi. And Nabi was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he does not bring a kitab with him the set of laws. And a Nabi is more general than a Rasul. So we say that all Nabi are Rasul and not all Rasul are Nabi. Then he mentioned wal mu'jizatu amrun khariqun lil 'ada I will postpone this into next week, and because there are certain explanations into this. So inshallah ta'ala, and we will stop here, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and with tawfiq and hidayah. Ameen ya rabbal alameen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adhaban nar. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.